So what sort of situation do we find ourselves? Well, it hasn't been great around here. 3 years ago, the local authority was not in great shape, both politically or from a management point of view, but a huge amount of work's been done from what I can tell, and hopefully things will start to move forward. And I think the opportunity is a moment in time where you sort of get the feel that things are about to happen, and I think this is about where we're at. So the local authority launched its mandate for change, and it was one of the things that attracted me to the area. Very business focused, very much about clear leadership, political direction, and engagement at all levels. Local authorities often find it very difficult to get this message across, and I suspect there's a mixed view in the room about how successful or effective this is. But I think that they put themselves out there. I think they've shown a lot of leadership in bringing that forward. And one of the key planks of this is about creating a new city. And rather surprisingly, this guy thought that cities were where it's all at. And in fact, I know he's known for lots of things, but actually I think he was just one of the great businessmen of his time who actually could see an opportunity, could understand logistics, could understand design, and could understand how you could move product from production to the markets. So what makes a great city? Well, strong identity, a place for people. You can read that. The point is that I think that this part of the world has obviously grown up with the 5, 6 towns, I don't know how many you count and how you count them, and it has suffered from the fact that there's no obvious epicenter. One of the big decisions that the local authority has made is actually to invest in a city centre in Hanley, and we're putting about 45 million quid into that to build new facilities. And we see that as an investment, because our appraisals already tell us that that investment will be worth more than we've put into it even before we move in. But it's a way of trying to kickstart and create a new centre for the area. And it's because cities generate the opportunity to retain young people, to create an element of urban living, to create some vibrancy and mix across the area that we think it's so important. But cities also are about bringing together retail, culture, and all the things that we recognise with the places that we go to, either in our private or social lives or in our business lives. And that's really about not having any one of these. This is not about cherry picking, this is having it all together. Which is why, for me, having these events in educational establishments with a local authority to bringing together this feeling that we can create a place which has got a sense of cohesion about it and a place that people want to go to, and we've all got our role to play in it. And actually it's very obviously missing in this part of the world at the moment. When you actually come here, I used to be sort of pretty good at geography and finding my way around, but I found this place quite difficult to work out where the centre of it is and how it operates. Now you may be thinking they're sitting there, what the silly boy are you talking about? But actually these are quite important things for people that are arriving in a place that want to do business and want to establish opportunities in this area. And actually, when you compare where we are, we've got some real challenges ahead of us. Stoke is the 13th ranked city in the UK for size, but you can actually see where it's ranking in terms of league tables, and it really ain't great. So what we've got to do is we've got to find a way between us of getting up the league tables and getting out of where we're at. And part of this is because of its lack of retail centre. Part of it is because historically the place has obviously had a big shock in relation to loss of business. And also I think it's about historically there's been a very much a sort of a paternal relationship with the employers in the area over many years, and we need to break out of that mentality. So this is how it was in its heyday apparently, when it was cracking along at a heck of a rate, and they were digging holes in the backyard and putting it in the factory and stuffing stuff out the back. You may have already forgotten how much you've already done with this new building, the university's new building, new bus station, new public realm. Actually, I think you can be very proud of the fact that things are on the move here and have been over the last 5 to 7 years, as best as I can work out. And what we're trying to do is to create something where there is a much stronger link between Stoke Town, the station, the university quarter, right up through to Hanley. And I spent last evening till quite late looking at forward plans, bids to government, and monies for for fundamental infrastructure to connect this together, because what we don't want to be doing is building a city in the middle of Hanley that you can't get to because it hasn't got a road from the A500. So we've been looking at that. And what it might look like as you go forward is something which looks like a North Staffordshire conurbation. Oops. A North Staffordshire conurbation. We're fighting like mad for an HS2 station. And I've got people going to London fairly regularly. We're trying to get the minister up here because this is a really important win from our point of view. And the really important thing about it is that if we don't get the HS2 station, what will happen is that the number of trains on the West Coast Main Line will be reduced. So instead of improving our position, we'll actually end up worse, because your connectivity to London at 1 hour 24 with 2 trains an hour is like gold dust in terms of opportunity for the area. So a much stronger link across the spine up to a stronger centre, a sense of cohesion around the area. And I can tell you there's a lot of work going on in the background between Newcastle and Stoke, and actually realising that this is effectively one conurbation, and we need to have a strong voice in the north of the county. The other thing is about exploiting the geographical opportunity that this area has. And I actually drew a map the other day for another talk, and what I didn't realise was if you draw a circle around Manchester, Birmingham, around that sort of radius, and you put Stoke in the middle, you've got 12 million people in that area. You've got a massive market around you, and I don't think up till now that we've pretty much embraced that. So what we need is some people that are going to get out there and do it. So is this the new Josiah Wedgwood? Well, I don't know. He probably is, or probably was. What it's about is having enough people in this area who are prepared to go for it and actually bring forward opportunity. And I think that the leaders in the local authority, the leaders of the local community, and as I said earlier, those characters that are currently chairing the university, the principal here, the new VC, all those things, you've got an exceptional bunch of people here, and we need to get behind them. But they're going to have to be slightly crazy, and those crazy people are going to want to have an objective. And the objective is to increase the population to about 500,000 in the next 10 years. That will be an increase of about 22%, and to actually provide a different offer. And one of the messages that you will get from the local authority is that we are much more bullish about housing than we have been in the past. Debbie is here today, who's going to be leading for us on trying to have housing delivery. We're thinking much more about private rented. We're thinking a lot more about city centre living. We're encouraging potentially upmarket in different ranges of student accommodation. We're looking at a whole range of different tenures of properties and what we can do to stimulate that market. So that's a very positive statement from the local authority in terms of growth. You've already heard about what we're doing with schooling and what we need to and how we need to bring this forward. I always put at the top of my list, whatever it is, whether it's growing the city, the LEP, and you will get bored with me telling you about that is where the action is. So if you're in business in any sense, you need to find out what is going on there. Our job is to funnel money in to Stoke-on-Trent by getting our fair share out of the LEP, and our job is to help you by creating a platform and access to European money. There are lots of funding opportunities out there from RGF, ERDF, anything F. There are loads of them, and they are not easy to understand. I think a little bit the same as Sarah was saying in the educational word, so please use us as a gateway to it. Only yesterday, one of the local businesses was awarded £2.5 million of a grant to extend their factory. This is not insignificant money. So that's why I think where we are. Now, what about us? What are we going to do? Well, from my background, I'm really clear that if you're going to get anywhere with any sort of project or program, then the client has got to get his act together. You cannot have a client that doesn't know what it's doing or how it's going to operate. So my job, part of it, is to create what I think is an intelligent client approach from the local authority. I have a background in project management and construction. I did a lot of work in the Latham and Egan eras, and I do sit on a national thing at the moment. And I'm absolutely convinced that we have got to understand how this industry works.